Check, check, 1, 2. It is Thursday, November 28th. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope everybody makes the best of it. We are doing the week summary review as well as what to expect next week. I do know the week is not over. Futures are currently open, but equities are closed today, and without 500 of the stocks affecting ES and 100 of the stocks affecting NQ, we should see a very small range and low volume. And tomorrow, being Friday, is also a half day, so usually the most of the market participants are on holiday, so that's why we're doing it now. But once again, I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, spends it with their family, makes the best of it, and yeah. So before we get into it, everyone here knows that I use TraderSync, and I have for about 4 years now. Every Black Friday I buy an annual plan. They're having a sale up to 65% off. I just use their lowest tier plan, so I believe it's 50% off. I'm roped in at 50% off, so I could just pay 50% off every year. But I believe the lowest plan's 50% off. But when you get an annual on 50% off, I think it's very worth it. You get to tag your trades, do all kinds of stuff, which I actually have a video on it. This video right here, how I journal and review, isn't just about TraderSync. I recommend watching it whether you're into TraderSync or not. It's my entire process, from daily report cards to how I record them, and then how I go and watch my recordings. And then I also recommend watching this video, Record Your Trade Sessions / Timestamp Generator. It shows how I record my sessions and catalog them on YouTube on private, using private YouTube as a free cloud storage. And I have a timestamp generator sheet for you guys to easily access each trade. And then I actually take the link with the timestamp trade and paste that into my journal. Now, whether the trade in my journal, so whether you use TraderSync or have your own trade journal, you can pull up, you can sort it by P&L, start going through by your biggest P&L trades of the month, the year, the whatever, click it, and then easily just copy and paste the link, and next thing you know, boom, you are watching the footage of that trade. So these two videos I highly recommend checking out. Really great value there. If you're spending 5 hours a day watching the market and 0 to 30 minutes journaling, you're doing it wrong. You should be spending 30 minutes to an hour actively trading, and 2 to 4 hours journaling and reviewing. That took me years to realize. But also, I did just want to let you know that this free trial for TraderSync, I highly recommend checking it out. You don't need to put a credit card on file. All you have to do is sign up. But yeah, let's get into it, everybody. So it's been a couple weeks since the update. This month is pushing very strong, holding above October highs. The low, let's see. The low pretty much looks like it hit previous month's low to the tick. Like to see that. So November low. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun. I am acting like it's December. So yeah, October low was held, high is broken. Looks like we are going to close this month at this rate above previous month high, which is great. And just like I have said in all the past reviews the past few months, the low of each of these months being August and September, beautifully absorbed at previous all-time high. previous all-time high. Now on the weekly, let's see what we have here. Looks like we are working on pushing into all-time highs. Now, last week, wicked below the week before at the 9 weekly MA and did one of these pretty much. Like to see that. Really nice. Got a higher low, higher high, higher low at previous supply. Sellers turned into buyers. Another higher low. Let's see if we can get that higher high. Now, 200 weekly MAs right at this point of control. We have the 50 right here. Now if you treat this as one curve, last week's high is right at the bottom of that, which the low of this week, that wick, is bought up. Now, only thing I don't like about this week's candle, and time-based candles, they're not concrete and super set in stone. You know, the next week could be a continuation of this candle, but it looks, assuming this week's not going to do much with the volume and participants, this will be a spinning top candle, doji, aka doji like candle. So I don't normally like to see that, but as long as next week's candle can be a continuation of it, where if you were to combine the two, it'd be one big one, that's fine. I do love this gap up, which I believe was on the ceasefire news. So that will be another eye to see if on following weeks, if that will be taken out, or, you know, buyers will step in. And the fact that this candle is, so as of now, if it were to close today, it would not close this gap. There's just a wick in it, so that's bullish to me. On the daily, let's check out the average daily range. Today being Wednesday was 36 points, half of the average. Now you can see the peak. We had 113 point day, average 80, with the low of 55. My sweet spot, if you watch the channels, between 50 and 70. So volatility started to pick up a little bit, but it's kind of hanging out here, so I like that. Now, on the daily, we had this gap here that was created, a downward gap on the daily candles, which these daily candles for me open at 6 p.m. Globex. Now, so you can see we finally broke through it, and what this doji scared me at first, but new candle gapped up a little, pushed up, and the wick down perfectly in here, making it an inverse gap. So I'm keeping it up there. I am going to delete this. Now, this previous all-time high, yesterday's candle almost engulfed the body. Don't like to see that in supply, but it's alright. Don't have too much of bodies below this 20 MA, so that's also good. Just these wicks, and I do love how this wick is the low, next wick's low is higher, higher, higher. So the daily buyers, daily lows are, the bid is being raised, and the 50 has not been visited since here, which this is the election gap. So this is the 6, this is when the election happened, and if we were to draw this from a fair value gap, Sorry guys. This is the midpoint. Perfectly bought up. Nobody even touched it. And I will talk about this election gap more on a lower time frame. But so yeah, this is a higher low from here. Higher high. Higher low, higher high. Equal low. Higher high. Higher low. And this is when we determine if we want to make a higher high or equal high and stay in the range and compress to either pick a direction. Now this is what I was talking about for the election gap. That's weird. Let me do something really fast. Go back to this while that loads. So yeah, we really never accepted below the 50 daily MA. And this was previous supply because I count a supply from here. So this supply where the sellers were are now buyers there. That's good to see. 200 has not been breached in a long time since this golden cross. Just these buyers here from beginning of August. Now, where is it? Sorry, I was just looking. We had a, oh, here it is. I don't know why I'm going that far back. Sorry, guys. So, we had a vicious downward gap here. I'm going to do it a different color. Draw the midpoint. So, this was a downward gap. Failed to get into, and finally started chipping our way through it, higher low, and then once we got to the tip, nice gap and hold. So we took out this downward gap, and all of these are upward gaps. This is the gap initial gap I've been harping and pounding the table on for a long time, to where it's from September 18th. Every time we visited the 50% mark, bought. So not only are there shorts still looking to get out, because remember, a short, they sell at first to enter, but shorts are future buyers. And then you have, you know, new longs entering. And this right here is the lovely election gap. Gapped up overnight, pushed up into all-time highs for several days, melted back down right when we got to it. Buyers showed their hand at the 50% mark. Two overnight sessions later, big push below it, but it was just a wick and could not put a body again, just like this gap. Still haven't put a body below this 50% mark. Next RTH session, low, days low, right at the 50% mark, and gone. So this is that gap I was talking about on the daily, from the overnight gap up from Globex start, from the ceasefire news. So you can see, haven't held a body below that, and that's why I'm keeping it here. We did have a rejection here from this supply. 2 rejections actually, so that will be on watch. But as long as, if you cut this into one curve, and this isn't a coincidence that this gap zone is at the bottom of this curve, and and where this low volume node is. Now I'm just, oh, and then also we have October's high, and then what week is this? 1020's high. So got above it, tried to accept below it, but could not, and buyers returned. Now I'm just going to drill down for you to get a better view of the price action. This is the 1 hour now. Now this is that curve. You can see a little bit better. See this, that gap, and the low volume nodes. So low volume nodes are low volume nodes for a reason, because not many contracts are traded there. As you can see, spend very little time there. So you range in the high volume nodes and you move fastly through it, through the low volume nodes, but it is hard to enter the low volume node. You stay in the high volume nodes like a magnet. So if this wasn't all the volume from the entire chart, if it was just from up to here, this would be the point of control, which is just like VWAP. It's like a magnet in a way. It's not just like it, I mean price acts like it around it. Drilling down to the 30-minute. As you can see, we just top ticked the zone. Lower high, dump an RTH, soaked in the zone with a 30-minute doji, higher low, and grinding. Now, this is October, we opened, tested the bottom of October, it's low, rallied, broke the October's high, tested below it, could not accept, buyers showed up and propelled us higher. And then we melted, tried to get into it, chopped for a little bit. I would not call this accepting, and now we are out of October's range. For the weekly, we are holding above all these prior weeks. Each of these are prior week's high, holding above all of them. Now, last week, let me label this. So this week we gapped up, opened in Globex on last Sunday, above prior week's high, tried to get back in it, buyers showed up, top ticked this high right here, and stayed in it. So this is this week's price action. See how many points tonight's range is. 9 points. It's really not that brutal for Thanksgiving, so. Now to go over levels I'm watching going into next week, we have. Alright, sorry guys, OCD is kicking in here. So, October's high, I want to see this month end and close above it, which we have. This is the last week, so this is month end. So I want to see us finish this week above October's high. So levels I will be watching, since we are at all-time highs, would just be above us would be 60.54, and then below 60.25, and then 59.28. Above us once again 60.25. Below we have this gap being 6,000. 59.79, you can call it 80, and then 58.77 to 50. Above us, same thing. I'm not going to keep repeating what's above us, which is to 60.52. I'm not going to keep repeating that since we're at all-time highs, so that's the level above us. And then below us we have 6,000, 59.75, 59.50, and 5,900. So if we get, this is the last line of defense. If we end up going back down, I want to see us range like this. And not, you know, we can do a look below and fail, but I do not want to see us get below here. Same thing, 60.53 all-time highs. So we have above us 60.40, 60.50, and then 60.53. With below us, we have a zone at 6,000 to 59.75, and then another zone at 59.50 to 59.38, which is where the election gap starts. And the 50% mark of that, which is major to watch, 58.80. Do not want to see us close a body, whether it's the 4 hour or the 1 hour, put much of a body below that. I want to see signs that buyers are stepping in here. And then obviously we have this other gap below this, which is a huge one. So if this gap were to get taken out, then I'd watch this gap from 57.80 to the bottom of 5,700, give or take. But we're not going to go that far. This election gap is the main last line of defense. Now, $58.55, the mid of this month. Actually, we'll call it, yeah, $58.55, which is this month's upper distribution curve. That would be the bottom of it. That's a lower level support, and then the higher resistance would be 60.36 from here. 60.36, and then 60.45, where this excess starts. Above this horizontal line is where the excess starts. So that's it on ES. Let me go over NQ. Looks a little different on the monthly. So this is October's candle. This is October's range. I like how September's open, October's low held. I probably said that on the previous reviews, but we almost have a nice 3-bar play in the monthly. I don't like how we wicked into all-time highs, and this could be a top tick, and we fell back, but that's okay. Now I just want to see us hold again above previous month's high. That's one, just like the on ES, that is huge. Now, just like on ES, we have this supply here, top ticked above it, big bar, and it kind of looks like it wants to set up for a 3-bar play, but it's a holiday volume, so I don't expect to see that at all. But buyers at the 9 MA as well as the 20. These are weekly MAs. And the 50, anyone below it has been a buyer. Just like ES, haven't visited the 200 since we had the Golden Cross. On the daily, this was the range we were trading in. The box broke above it, and then once we did, we held above it. Buyers came in at the midpoint of the box, but then we dumped back into it and traded in the box for a little bit, and then came out, tested new all-time highs, and buyers bought the top of the box again. So if this were to be a lower high in NQ and we go down, I'd like to see buyers step in here. If not, then us trade in this box is a scenario. Now, on the 4 hour, we have pushing all-time highs, wicks and glowbacks, dumping RTH, sideways, lower high. I call this a lower high, but it's technically an equal high or top tick, and then massive puke overnight, creating an overnight gap, which, let's see, we could not fill in this RTH session, so that's not the best. This is the 50% mark of it. At least we're holding that so far, though. Here's a 1 hour view for you guys. 30-minute. Now on the monthly, unfortunately, it's not as good as ES for NQ. We opened in October's range, broke out of it, and we're back in it. But on the bright side, we are trying to stay out of it. So as I said, on the monthly candles, we need to stay above October's high. On the weekly, we are back inside last week. Not the best, would like to see us hold above the prior week as well. Now for levels, we have this low volume node at 21,039. And then all-time highs at 21,340. And then below us we have this from the volume by price at 20,500. 20,295, and then the low of this month at 20,020. Then above us we have all-time highs again at 21,340. Below us we have last week's close, 28,38, 25,15, and 23,75. On the daily above us we have 21.91, 21,250, and then all-time highs at 21,341. Below us we have 20,817, 20,680, and 20,515 should be a nice support. We have the 50 daily MA as well as this nice high volume node. And then top of the previous box at 20,350, the mid of it and high volume node at 20,140, and the bottom at 19,810. Just like ES on the 4 hour, we have this nice gap that each time the 50% mark was bought, and then this time couldn't even get to the 50% mark. And then here we have the election gap. As you can see, anytime we get near the 50% mark, bought up. And this time yesterday, so Wednesday, got towards the top of it, low a day. So want to see that hold. So above us we have 20,936, 21,015, 21,080, 21,235, and then all-time highs at 21,341. Below us we have 20,768, the beginning of the election gap at 20,675, the mid of the election gap at 20,525, and the bottom at 20,360. And then above us we have 21,000, which is the end of this curve, high volume node edge, 21,130, 21,236, and then all-time highs. Below us, we must hold October's high at 20,790, 20,675, and 20,400. We're going to have resistance of prior week's high at 20,906, 21,080, 21,230, and then all-time highs. And below us, the mid of last week at 20,675, 20,520, and 20,385. Now for data for next week. We have red folders on Monday, S&P Global Manufacturing, ISM PMI, Tuesday red folder, so that's good. We have red folder on Monday. That should be interesting, and it's the first trading day of the month. Last month of the year, guys, let's make it count. We have jolts on Tuesday, red folder Wednesday, non-farm payroll, S&P PMI, ISM non-manufacturing PMI, and Powell speaking at 1:45 New York time Eastern. Thursday red folder, initial jobless claims. Friday red folder. So first week of the final month of 2024, we have red folder every day. Average hourly earnings, non-farm payroll, unemployment rate. So lots of stuff to look forward to. But I tried to keep this short. Hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and study up. It's month end. It's really important. That's when you should do your studying, do your reviewing for the month. But most importantly, spend time with your family and be thankful. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and take care.